Great leaders at every level of an organization have highly developed superpowers. These superpowers help them stand out and move up in their organization. It helps them accelerate their success, and it helps them be able to do things more easily that most people struggle to do. Now, do you want to stand out in your business? Do you want to accelerate your success? Do you want to just skyrocket your career? Well, you are in the right place, because today you're going to learn to sharpen your skills and claim those superpowers of the great leaders. The great leader that you are already, and the even greater leader that you will become. Now, you're asking, superpowers? What are these superpowers you're talking about? Well, here's the key. Superpowers are people skills. Simply said, people skills, the interpersonal skills, the soft skills are what you do to motivate people, to inspire people. Those are the intangibles. It's your attitude and your flexibility. And this is what makes all of those hard skills effective. These skills are the absolute lifeblood of an organization. 2016, Harvard and Carnegie Foundation and Stanford Research, wow, big organizations, found that 85% of job success comes from well-developed people skills. Can you believe that? 85%. And a survey of 2,100 hiring managers found that 77% say that soft skills are just as important as hard skills. So what I'm going to share with you today as you're building those superpowers, 3 elements: connection, communication, and conflict. First, connection. This is where you need to relate not only to your customers, but also to your colleagues, to those people that you work with. And you know how people say they want to work with people they know, like, and trust? Well, that's what happens when you've got those people skills, when you can make those connections with people. And people will make an unconscious choice to work with you. Now, here's an example of someone who did not connect with me. I was on a business trip and had parked my car at the valet and went to pick up the car. Went to the valet window. This young man, he had to be 16, looked like he was 13, but he had on his fancy valet suit with the stripes up here and his cap on, and I'm dressed in a business suit. I walked up to the counter. He looked up and he went, "Sup? You talking to me?" He did not connect with me at all. So I gave him my ticket, and while he was wandering out to go get my car, the tip that I had in my hand, right back in my pocket. No connection, no tip. Communication is the second piece that we're going to talk about today. Here's one of my favorite quotes from George Bernard Shaw. The single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Businesses who want to thrive have to have a communication system in place. The communication system will give you a sense of stability, predictability. People can trust your communication when they've experienced that you're honest, that you're forthright, that you tell the truth, and that you think about what you're saying. You are clear in what's happening. You're clear in your expectations. Now, look at this for an example. If I say to you, "I need this ASAP," you go, "Okay, I get it. You need it as soon as possible." Well, let's see. As soon as possible is probably by Friday. That's what you're thinking. What I'm thinking when I say ASAP is, no, we're going to do this right away. I need it by the end of the day. But you weren't clear. You didn't say that. Communication filters down into every aspect of your business. Every aspect. Research tells us that poor communication comes up to the top of the top 10 challenges that face managers and face teams. All right, our third skill that we're talking about today is conflict resolution. Being able to manage conflicts is such a critical skill for anybody who's going to accelerate their performance in an organization. When you hear conflict, what comes to mind? What thoughts do you have? You think of arguments, threats, fights, discord, all these destructive things. But what I don't hear much from this group, or really from any of my other groups, is what about the positive effects of conflict? What about the creative outcomes that you can achieve when people are discussing things from different points of view? Think about the relationships that you can build when you get to know somebody down deeper because you're finding out what's really important to them. And instead of just pushing them aside, saying, you don't agree with me, so I don't want to hear about it. Really understanding what's underneath that, what their interests are. Not just their position, not just, this is what I want and that's it. But why do they want it? What's important to them? When you find those things out, you start to clear the air. You can get those positive responses. There are two factors to consider in how you respond to a conflict. One is, what's the outcome that you want? Does this have to be exactly the way you want it? Or can you give a little bit? And the other is the relationship piece. Because you're working with other people, you're always in relationship with other people. So how important is that relationship piece? If you're in a situation where the outcome is so important to you, and the relationship is important to you, this is where you bring these two together in a collaborative effort. Collaboration, we think compromise is so important. We think compromise is the be-all and the end-all. But in a compromise, nobody gets what they want. You get a little bit of what you want. And this person gets a little bit of what they want. But you both give up something. But in the collaboration, you're building that outcome to what it is you want, and you're building that relationship. Now this takes time, this takes effort. You have to give it you have to put some trust into this. You have to be able to share, to listen, and to take the time to come up with what's underneath the position, to find the values, to find those mutually beneficial outcomes. But it's so worth it. It is so worth it when you can do that. So building your skill in resolving conflicts productively, again, productively, is a huge skill for a successful leader, and it's one of your superpowers. Now, some of the signs that you see, you've got to understand the signs of conflict. When you see low morale, people not showing up for work, high turnover, low productivity, you know there's conflict going on in your organization. Here's the thing to remember about conflict. Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. So here's what it boils down to. Practice connecting. Make those people love you, like you, trust you, want to work with you. Polish your communication skills and perfect the competencies in managing conflict, and you will skyrocket your career. Thank you.